Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. Happy Thursday to you. And how you doing? As we're keeping in the loop here with, as you know, myself, as well as the one and only Greg Nibler. I'm Winnie's son, longtime financial pro, CNBC financial advisor, council member, Forbes contributor, and of course, host of Level Up with Winnie's son, which is also on NASDAQ, Amazon Fire, and Roku. But joining me is the one and only Greg Nibler. Greg, how are you?
I am doing great. Thank you, Winnie. And yeah, thanks everybody for joining. And yes, I'm Greg Nibler. I'm a tech journalist, reporter for a long, long time. I talk about that here on the show, but entertainment, kind of everything in between. So I appreciate everybody who is here. And we are live. Want to emphasize that because we can take your comments as we go through whatever we talk about. This is all meant to be a lot of fun. And we want to hear your feedback as we go through the show too, because there's some exciting things we're going to be talking about here today, including electric vehicles, in particular, electric trucks. It's a whole market that's about to be coming out, and there's a lot of opinions. A lot of people have very strong opinions one way or another on a bunch of them. So we're going to kind of go through some of those coming up here in a bit. But as usual, Winnie's going to kick it off here with what's going on in the world of finances. And this is how I get my news every week. And I'm sure a lot of other people too, because Winnie is an expert in this. So Winnie, thank you for sharing all of your info every week with us.
Thank you, Greg. And I'm super excited to hear what you have to share with us for on trucks, as well as any sort of e-transportation. You know, that's where I actually get my information. And I will tell you, Greg, a little secret. What I learn from you each week in the loop, I actually tell so many of my friends about, because it actually makes me feel a lot smarter, and most importantly, a lot more cooler, because what you share with me is the stuff that everybody wants to know about. So thank you for doing that.
That's awesome. Thank you.
So, yeah. And then before you spend your money, you're going to want to hear what Greg's going to share with us momentarily. But let's start, before we do that, let's talk about what's happening with the financial markets, because it's been a pretty crazy week. First off, let's start with how the market closed today. Many of you may have watched, but the Dow closed down 263 points. It actually had weakness throughout the day. At some point early today, it was down over 400 points. The NASDAQ closed down 105. Not a good thing for those of you who are invested for long-term growth, invested in tech. And the S&P is also down 37. But, the good news is last week closed in a pretty strong way. So actually, we broke some new records on the S&P last week. This week, though, how quickly things change over a 3-day weekend, because major U.S. stock indexes fell dramatically today. And we had some weakness yesterday, but today in particular, because as you know, investors are unhappy with uncertainty. And there's a lot of uncertainty today because of a couple of things. Number one is probably the one that's on everyone's mind is what's happening with the coronavirus and the pandemic in Japan. In fact, they just declared a state of emergency in Tokyo for the upcoming Olympics. And as they're trying to figure out how to get through the Summer Olympics in Japan, they're saying that they're actually going to ban spectators. So you'll probably be able to watch on your TV or online, but you're not going to be able to watch live. Now, this is a big deal because they're trying to still have the Summer Olympics, but they're also seeing a surge in COVID cases. The other part that was this part I was actually pretty surprised by. And this is the job report, which usually comes out every Thursday. Now, we've been seeing some good numbers. People have been getting back to work. Less people have been filing for unemployment, but that sort of changed last week. So actually, there was an increase in unemployment filings, more so than we expected. And actually 373,000 Americans filed for unemployment. So people are saying, well, maybe we aren't out of the woods yet, right? Maybe things are still pretty weak. Maybe there's still things to be concerned about. And because of that, a lot of the companies that would normally do well in a reopening of the economy, so you're seeing travel, you're seeing cruise line stocks, airline stocks as well, really took a tumble. And even companies such as Ford, for cars. So it'll be real interesting to see what Greg has to say about Ford. But we're also seeing retailers like Nordstrom and Home Depot even losing a little bit of steam there too. Greg, any of this coming as a surprise to you? Because I was actually kind of surprised about the unemployment numbers.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely kind of a fascinating statistic there, thinking about how that's still where it's at and just what people are doing, whether it's they, want to go back to work or there's not enough jobs, or whether they're just, they've adapted to this lifestyle of not going back to work. And I think that's something we've discussed before too, is just kind of how that works. Back to what you said about the Olympics, though, just really quick, I think that's going to be really strange. I mean, we're used to, I guess, watching live sports now since the pandemic with no crowd, but the Olympics itself, that's just going to be just an odd experience. I mean, I'm sure for the athletes, definitely, but even for watching it at home, just not seeing anybody cheering like they're doing the national anthems and of all these countries, and like nobody's there, it's just them. That's going to be just a weird experience in its own right. But you know, it's just odd. It's just so odd. And I guess we should be used to odd, but it's still
it's still odd.
It's going to be weird. Yeah.
I feel like your word is absolutely right. It is odd. And like, you know how you probably saw, I know you know this a lot better than I do because you're definitely much stronger in sports, but a lot of U.S. athletes, right, are saying, no, we're not going to be joining the U.S. basketball team, or I'm not going to be representing the U.S. for tennis this year. So, and a lot of the athletes have already expressed concerns about COVID conditions, right? So now you're getting some of the top athletes not showing up, and then now there's no audience. I wonder how that's going to impact viewership.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll still watch, but mainly, you know, I would watch the Olympics normally anyway, but now I'll watch just because it's going to be so different. But yeah, it'll just be, you know, I don't know. I mean, I guess they can't really cancel it at this point. They've probably gone too far. It's already been a year, so they have to go forward with it. But that's, you know, just, and you also have to wonder what kind of a financial impact that's going to make for them as well. You're not having anybody in person. The games are expensive, and I know they lose money on them no matter what. But how much are they going to lose this year on this? I mean, it's going to be pretty bad.
You know, Greg, we'll definitely bring that. We'll definitely be bringing that information. I think that's a great topic. We're going to talk about advertising dollars, the Olympics, and money that's bringing in from viewership. We'll make sure to keep on top of that for you. For those of you tuning in, I'm sure Greg will have a lot of insight on once the Olympics gets full swing in there, who he's cheering on and what we should make sure that we don't miss. But the other topic that I wanted to bring, because it's actually been on the radar on social media last few days, and that's a topic of shrinkflation. Now, if you're not familiar with what shrinkflation is, it's okay. Not everybody is. But basically, shrinkflation is, I guess, taking over the world, if you will. Well, maybe, but it may be here to stay. And that is downsizing and shrinkflation really mean the same thing. So you know the term inflation, you know, things get more pricey over time. But this topic of shrinkflation is where a company will reduce the size or quantity of the products that they're charging, and they're charging the same price or even more for that item. So, for example, some of you remember that big people were running to the supermarket to get toilet paper and water and paper towels and whatnot. And so there are a lot of companies that are doing this to current items. So maybe you bought a box of cereal like a year ago or even 6 months ago versus now. The price might be the same because, you know, we're all very conscious of sticker price for most of us for those regular consumer goods. You know, I pay really close attention to the price of chicken for sure. But what companies are doing now, they're giving you less per ounce. They're giving less. They're giving you less ounces for the dollar that you're spending. So this is what they're calling shrinkflation. And so there's a company out there. There's a lot of consumer advocates out there that are doing this. But I want to share with you some of the things that they were saying that were different. For example, the price of orange juice. Right, you're paying the same amount, but you're getting less orange juice. Even Costco, believe it or not, they actually reduced the amount of rolls of paper towels in their paper towel bundle, and you're actually getting a bundle and a half less. But the good thing about Costco is they made sure not to take advantage of you price wise. They did reduce their price, so you're still paying per sheet. But a lot of companies are doing this because they're saying the price of materials and goods are dropping, and therefore, in order to make that money up, they will give you the same price, but they're just going to give you less of the things that you need. So I don't know, Greg, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like
that's something I admit I look at the price when I go to buy something, but I don't pay attention about how many ounces, if that's changed necessarily, because I haven't been that price conscious, I guess. Now I'm definitely going to be looking at that probably obsessively to see how that works. I wasn't aware of the term shrinkflation before this. Now I'm definitely aware. So yeah, that's a really something I was just completely unaware of. I will definitely look at that now.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a good thing to take a look at it. You know, these are things that even me, the financial person, doesn't look that carefully because, you know, we stick to a budget. We know the sort of the main things that we need, and we continue to order them or, you know, pick them up consistently every 2 weeks. And you don't really think about it. But maybe, you know, just maybe we could look at the silver lining. Maybe this means we eat less. I don't know. And maybe that in turn will make us healthy. I don't know. Just thinking out loud here, But yeah, so that's what shrinkflation is. Many of you are familiar with inflation. Definitely things are getting a lot more expensive. And one area that I think will be really interesting for us to talk about is obviously the price of gas. And so for many of you, you may have seen this already, like typical inflation runs between 2 to 3%. Like that means like things get more expensive over time, averaging 2 to 3%. However, we're looking at some risk of inflation, and that's what the government keeps talking about right now, and what investors are looking at and companies are worried about. And some of the drive increasing the inflation is obviously because of the pandemic. A lot of people can't go back to work as normal. So the cost of labor is certainly going up. So you're seeing Amazon having to increase labor. We see a lot of fast food restaurants, retail places to get people to go back to work. They have to actually do promos. So you're seeing some companies even offer between $500 to $1,000 for you to apply at a pizza restaurant to work there. It's so crazy. But I think that will start to fizzle out as things get back to normal. People get vaccinated and are able to go back to work. I think that'll get better. But one area that's really interesting in terms of inflation that you should be paying attention to, especially those of you who are parents out there, is the cost of inflation for college education is 8%. So that's historically.
Wow.
So that continues to be really scary. So if you are like a parent like myself with 3 kids, you know just how expensive that can be. So it's a little frightening, Greg. I mean, this is where having a pet is a lot less expensive.
Yeah. I don't think the pets are going to be going to college. So that's or different terminology there. So yeah, 8%. That's a lot.
That's a lot, right?
That's crazy.
And then here's something I'm going to share with you too, Greg, because you want to check out this website. It's a really, I'll just say very organic, simple website. But there's a website called mouseprint.org. Okay. It's a consumer website. It's kind of cool because and I know people use Reddit for the same reason too. Like we don't just sit around and collect 2 boxes of cereal or 2 boxes of orange juice and compare like shrinkflation, right? But Mouseprint does it for you. So you can just go to their website and see what items are getting like down. Like, see, look at like right now we're showing the 2 bags of Doritos and the price I think is similar, but you could take a look at the different in ounces. One was 9.5 ounces. I guess one is the same, but anyway, they go down. There's more images. There's the orange juice, all sorts of things, and just showing like the different in price and the different in weight. So keep that in mind. I mean, I think especially now we want to be really smart about our money, and those are the things we want to look at. And here's another crazy thing too, Greg. And this is why I think your e-vehicles guidance is going to be so critical for us too, because we've actually seen the price of used cars increase by more than 20% in the last 6 months. So, there's just not a lot of vehicles. So on top of that, gas is increasing by more than 20% in the last 6 months too. So what can we do? What are some options, Greg?
Well, I mean, when it comes to that side of things, I don't know what people can do on that end, but definitely when it comes to electric vehicles, there's a lot of companies that have more of those coming out. And we can jump straight into that if you want to talk about the EV side of things.
Let's
because there's clearly every car manufacturer out there right now. I mean, I'm talking about all the major ones are coming up with their own electric vehicles if they don't have them on the market already. And there's a lot of those that are going to be happening. And slowly, as the price goes down, people will start switching over to those. But there's another aspect to that as well. And that's the electric truck market, which that's something that really has yet to come to fruition, despite the fact that pickup trucks are the biggest selling sector, at least in the United States. The F-150 is like the highest selling vehicle. So it's a major market here that just hasn't really been able to get into the electric side of things yet, but that is changing. And that's why I wanted to highlight just a few different ones that are on the way. And these, the rollout of these, some of them were supposed to happen last year, some were this year. Everything with the pandemic has kind of been delayed, whether it's pandemic related or not. That's what's getting blamed for it. So these are within the next few years to maybe later this year that you could be picking these up. And I wanted to see what people thought about some of these. Some of them, like the GMC with the Hummer EV, they already had the Hummer EV SUV that was going to be coming out, but now they've got a truck version as well. And this is it right here. They just released a video of this a couple of days ago, kind of showcasing how fast it is. I believe it's 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds on this thing. Yeah, so it's super powerful. of what you can do with it. It's a Hummer, so that's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I just think it's such a sign of the times that even something like the Hummer, which is just like this,
Huge,
it's the stereotype. Car. Yeah. And it's the stereotype of gas guzzler, over the top vehicle. This is all electric. So this is something amazing. That's fully embracing that. And taking a look at just some of the different things that 0 to 63 seconds. It weighs 9,000 pounds. So it is 9, not a 9,000. 9,000 pounds.
Okay, so here's the thing is typically a commercial vehicle, for those of you who are business owners, typically if you own a vehicle over 6,000 pounds as a business owner, there's a significant tax savings for those of you who are business owners. And I see a lot of you joining us. I want to say hello to Sadiq for us. And Joshua, Crossex Fighter Greg is here with us. Vicky is here. Robin is here. So many people are joining us. And, Vicky is saying, Greg, all this needs is wings. I mean, that'd be interesting to see a 9,000 pound Hummer flying, though. I feel like, is that a bird or is that a Hummer, Curtis?
That's an awfully big, bird that would be flying.
That'd be like people would totally be thinking that was some sort of UFO.
Right? Yeah. I mean, so this is when, they're coming out and they got the price on it too. It's going to start, I believe, around 80,000 or so. Oof. So, it's not an economic vehicle. It's going to start high. And that's the low end one. It goes all the way up to, I think, around 110, 120. At least that's what's estimated, if you get the higher battery life and all of that goes with it. But that's what they've got. So that's the GMC Hummer EV.
It's a cool looking car.
It is cool looking. Yeah. And it's estimated, next year. Again, just put this, just imagine all of these dates are fluid as far as when it's actually going to come out, but it will come out to the market at some point. So you've got that. But then going back to talking about Ford, you've got the F-150, the EF-150, which people were talking about for years was going to come out. It was just a huge thing that everybody wanted to see. And now it is coming out. And they've released some pretty cool videos showcasing it. It's going to be called the F-150 Lightning, which is fantastic branding, really good on there.
Love the title, yeah.
Right, and it's got all the stuff that you'd expect with an F-150 as far as towing power.
Like Tesla app, very cool.
Yeah, and that's the other, all of the upgraded stuff they've got on it. It's really pretty cool and pretty high tech. You've got a lot of different things you can do with the bed of the truck and different add-ons that you can do with it. But one of the things I thought was the coolest with it is it's got this thing called intelligent backup power. So, I know a lot of people have dealt with, inclement weather conditions or power outages due to either cold or heat, things like that, and your power goes out. This thing can actually power your house, they're saying, for 2 to 3 days if you have the high-end battery on it. So you can actually run that, run your air conditioning, run your heating, do whatever it is you need to do, run your basic power needs all off of that thing. And I think that to me is the most impressive thing of this.
That is a total wow. We got to give that another wow because I mean, that's huge because
yes, that's fantastic.
Right. Vicky is like, it's so funny. Wendy's actually with us here as well. She's joining us on YouTube and she's saying the Hummer, is it a bird or a plane? It's so true. You never know. But I think this is really meaningful, Greg. And I love that you mentioned this because actually, once I heard this from you the first time, I went to tell my husband, he's like, oh yeah, that sounds really great. Because here in California, I feel like we're the city of earthquakes and power outages. And so as we're going into summer, this is something that many of us think about. In fact, I have one of those, not just one, but a couple of those portable battery units, right? So during the day, we have solar panels. The solar will charge up this small battery. And then in case of power outages, and we would hook up the freezer and the fridge onto it, whatever, necessary appliances. But it doesn't last 2 to 3 days. So I've always, and I think I share this with you. I'm like, I've got a big Tesla in the garage. If I could only just reverse that and stick my appliances into my car, then and run the house for a couple of days. But Ford sort of beat Tesla to that. That seems like such a very practical thing, especially many of you who are in different parts of the country have different weather issues, right? I can see this. I'm hoping this starts a trend. And as we have more electric vehicles, more cars, this is usable power. In fact, especially now that more and more people are embracing eco-friendly technology like solar.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
that modular aspect of it to be able to have that, I mean, here in Portland, we've had just within 6 months, extreme cold and ice storms that took power out for a lot of people, and then a heat wave that took out power out for a lot of people. And this is something that could help, mitigate some of those concerns that are legit things. And I know that's all over the country as well. So you got that, but then also think about going out to like a job site and you'd have instant power, or even camping, what I would like to do. So I love that. And I hope, like you said, that other manufacturers start thinking of it in that way and just kind of expanding the horizon on what you can do. Cause I think that's what's going to sell it for a lot of people. Like to me, it seems like it comes down to how far can you go on a charge? How hard is it to get a charge? And that's kind of another issue. And then what can you do with it? What makes this different? And this is different. To me, this is different.
Super different. And I feel like it's super practical too. So, because I know, Greg, you love camping. So imagine if you could put like your tent on the bed, which I know they sell these really cool tents on the bed. And then you could have solar panels on the top of the truck, right? So that because that's one thing that my husband put on our van, and we have solar panels on the van. So it's really cool. So while you're driving around on your road trip or whatever, or maybe you're just camped out, the sun is charging that battery back up, and then it could shoot air conditioning for you in your tent when it gets too hot. Greg, I feel like this is like perfect for you.
Air conditioned tent. That is something I had not thought of, but yeah, there's another advantage that you could have with this thing, with that in theory. So you've got that with the F-150, and then going from there, I just want to talk about a couple of these other ones too, because there's another company called Rivian that people may not be as familiar with, but if you follow tech and e-vehicles, they've been a name for quite a while. And there was originally I believe just a couple of guys, but they now have investment from Ford and some other companies that are helping them bring this along. But it's the same thing. It's bringing on an e-truck, and they're starting from scratch with this and created this thing. And it's pretty. I think what a lot of people like about it is the look, because it does look pretty cool, at least to me. But it's the same aspect of bringing this out there and showcasing it being used in all kinds of temperatures. They said the battery is good for, I believe it's -25 to 130 degrees Fahrenheit. So you'd be set no matter what. Like you'd be good no matter where you are, no matter what the weather. This thing, in theory, would start right up. And they're just a really cool one that, that's the other thing. They're going to have a 400+ mile version. So that's a long ways.
That's cool.
Yeah. And that's the R1T. They've got it. They also have an SUV version as well, but Rivian's pretty cool. And that's another one, again, keeps getting delayed, but in theory, beginning of next year, you could pick that one up. The price,
love the color, by the way, Greg, I got to put it in there. I love the color. I know you love the look, but I really love it because it looks like a really friendly truck. It looks like it has two eyes in the front. And I know Sadiq is familiar with this because Sadiq has actually shared. Sadiq, who's joining us on YouTube, viewing us from YouTube, he's been sharing some comments on this brand for sure. So I know he's quite familiar with this. Very cool looking, but I see the cool. I like the way it looks from the front versus the Hummer that we're looking at. I feel like it looks a little friendlier. I can see you in this, Greg.
Yeah, I can totally see myself in this. Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the cool things about this. I saw Sadiq just mentioned the Fisker Ocean. That's another great one too. Fisker's really coming up with some cool stuff on top of it. But the one thing that you can get with these electric vehicles is you have a lot more freedom on design because you don't have
your
that.
Tent, Greg, there's your tent.
That's exactly, there it is. So Rivian, please send me this now. I will test this out for you gladly. But yeah, you have so much more flexibility on design because you have, the chassis underneath, and we don't have to get into the tech too much of that, but you can really do a lot and have like all kinds of storage space. And there's so much more because you don't have this giant engine that's taking up all that room. So it's pretty cool what people are coming up with on that. So you got the Rivian there. Now let's go to the one that I feel like is probably the most controversial. And I really want to get your opinion on this. And that's the Tesla Cybertruck. Certainly the one that most people are wanting to talk about. And whether or not you like it or not, it is definitely unique as far as the design. And it's Elon Musk. So you always know it's going to bring along everything Elon has. People love it or hate it. Winnie, I want to ask you, how do you feel about the Tesla Cybertruck?
Okay, so Vicky's laughing here. Let me just tell you. Full disclosure, I do drive a Tesla, and I will say I've driven a lot of cars in my time, but by far my Tesla is my most favorite car I've ever driven, because off the line, it's just so quick. There's no delay, right? You just never have to worry about that. But what I love too is just the thoughtfulness of all the little tiny features. But the Cybertruck, when it first came out, was first announced. You've all seen the video, right? When someone goes and tries and break through and all that. And I remember my husband's like, "Oh, that thing's ugly." And I remember talking to my creative team at the office, and I said, "You know what? You may seem ugly because it looks foreign to you right now, but I bet you as soon as that thing hits the street, every old truck is going to look like a dinosaur. And all of a sudden, this will be that sort of new level of what trucks could potentially look like. And the fact that it comes in stainless steel, right, which is very easy to clean, and it's really strong, there's going to be a lot of reasons to do that. So full disclosure, I actually did put a deposit down, because as a Tesla owner, you get to do this before the rest of the public does. So I jumped on it, and my husband's like, "It's not like you're going to get one." I was like, "Well, it's a fully refundable deposit, and it's kind of unique. And who knows when it comes out what we will." And then people through the year, like it's been a couple years now, everybody that has heard that I have this deposit, I said, "Well, if you don't want the car, I would totally take it." So I actually think this thing's going to be pretty cool. And I from my standpoint, because I have 3 kids, I would have liked a bigger version of it. But I do have the Tesla right now that can seat 7 people. So,
oh wow,
yeah.
So I mean, and I can't remember how many this seats. I mean, you probably know actually,
5 people.
But 5 people. There it is. Yeah.
so technically it would fit.
I think it's cool because it's pushing those boundaries of, like you said, what we think of a vehicle should look like.
Yes.
And, yes, it looks like it's from a video game or from, some futuristic movie. I kind of like that. Yeah. Cyberpunk.
Me too.
Tesla Cybertruck. I guess it does say Cybertruck, but Cyberpunk is what I think of when I see that. Because it looks like that video game. But this is cool to me. And just, to think outside of the boundary, think outside of the bounds, and some of the different things it can do. Again, the add-ons and the extra space as far as the bed of the truck to being a usable truck vehicle, to haul stuff in it. I'm all for it.
Just charge your house back. And on that note, Greg, I wanted to do a shout out. I see my friend Jack Fawn joining us from Periscope on Twitter Live. So hello, Jack. It's so great to have you. By the way, if you don't know Jack, he is definitely someone to follow. Talk about a powerhouse. So really, really blessed to have him with us. Jack, I'd like to know, I know you've got kids too. What do you think about this? I mean, I think it's awesome. Not only that, let me just say, Greg, I have a lot of clients that are in the movie industry. I can see this truck being all over movies, right? Like all the police cars will look like this in the future movies. And then you will know that it's either current or the future, because right now I think everybody's using Escalades or some sort of version of that, of the Chevy Tahoe, right?
Oh yeah. So they're trying to snap up these just to put them in, even just to have it in for a few
Elon,
scenes.
let us use it for our movie.
Yeah. Right. I could totally see Jack driving these too.
Jack, I think Jack Vaughn, Mr. Jack, I think Jack's saying that he loves innovation and the future is Cybertruck. Let me say the future is Jack Vaughn. So Jack, if you like it, I think Greg and I are definitely going to be paying very close attention to this too. But Jack, I have my reservation on this car, and he and I are both part of the Adobe Insiders group, so I'm sure we'll have conversations. Jack, I don't know if you're going to get one, and the thing is, here's the thing: it only comes in one color right now, so I'm kind of hoping they give us more colors, but otherwise everybody will have the same color Cybertruck, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it does depend, how many get out at first, because it's certainly production's been an issue for, again, not just for Tesla, but definitely for this Cybertruck. So who knows when they're actually going to roll out. Maybe we'll see them next year. Maybe it'll be the year after that. But
still saying, I thought it was going to be a year ago,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of a Tesla thing too. Because Elon Musk, is great at producing a lot of things, but kind of over promises sometimes on what, or at least on the dates of when something's going to come out, whether that's his fault or not. There's a lot of issues, that go in there. But nonetheless, I mean, at some point, this thing's going to come out. So I think that's really cool. Now, I've got another one too. And there are a lot. I only highlighted just these 5, because I've got 2 other things I wanted to showcase to you. But as far as the pickup side of things, there's
Everybody
another
likes
one.
it, by the way. Josh's buyers
Everybody likes
loving
it.
it. So far, we're seeing online, people are loving the Cybertruck. I'm thinking right now, I mean, I know you had your truck pick. I think, maybe I have to get the Cybertruck for research purposes.
Exactly.
Wink,
Just for
wink.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, write it off. Right? Can't you do that?
Robin, what do you think? We get a few more deals. We do this. No?
Yep, get Robin on that.
I know. Okay. Tell us what else we've got. This is I love these conversations.
Yeah, just seeing where it's going. So there's another one, a company called Canoe, and they're based out of LA, I believe, is where they're from. And they've been working on all kinds of different like commercial vehicles for a while, but they've got their own pickup that's going to be coming out. And they released some more videos on it earlier this year. They've got another one we'll cover too. Well, that right there, see, so this part is the minivan, and then they've got a truck
So
as well.
cute.
So there's
Like a roly-poly.
yeah, so like we're talking about like the traditional, minivan style. You've got that, and then you've got the pickup truck, which is this right here,
Oh,
which I think this pickup.
That's cool, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like they've got all these different side, you can tell I'm excited about it because like it's they've got all these different like side panels you can pull out and all kinds of different storage spaces and different things you can do with it. And like,
see, why didn't they have this for all cars, right? Because it kind of makes sense to have all these little compartments.
Well, and that's what you can do with electric vehicles. Like you could start thinking about this. Like this has, I believe it's got a tailgate in the front. I believe one in the back and one in the front.
Vicky's saying it's like a bubble to me.
It does.
It looks like a bubble. It looks like a blimp on wheels.
Well, and yeah, that design, that could be something
that
people will either like or not, as far as how that's kind of rounded on there. But it's still, it seems like something that's very like utilitarian, very usable, that you can put into a lot of situations, use it for a lot of different reasons. I believe if I have it correct, like the front seat folds down so you can store even more stuff in there through the back of it. And, you can just use it for a lot of purposes. So I could see, even if it's not just for your personal use, but for like a work vehicle, if you're hauling around stuff.
Imagine how much video gear we could put in that. I'm sure Mikey on your team, Chris on my team would have a play day with video gear. We could bring so many lights that.
Oh yeah. Mount a camera to the back of it. We could do a whole bunch of things. Yeah. That's how we'll film you in your Cybertruck.
Back there. You could put a jacuzzi back there. I mean, we just got to get more at this point. Like we're talking solar, electricity. We're talking storage. We're talking side gates. I mean, at this point, you should just make a list of all the things you would love to have in a truck and like tell Greg, and Greg will tell the Canoes of the world.
They're listening to me right now, I'm sure.
They are. They're like, they got Greg on speed dial. We all got Greg on speed dial.
No, it's pretty cool to me, just kind of where they're going with that. And so you've got that one. And then you do have, like that minivan that they've got. And that's another thing that would work. That would seat enough people, seat, I'm sure 7. Or however many people you want to see it. So,
but look at Jack wants to know. So Jack Vaughn is reaching out on Twitter Live. Greg, he wants to know, when is Canoe expected? Yeah,
that's a good point. So the Canoe van is late 2022, and this is estimated right now. And this is what I'm looking at. And then the pickup
next year,
late 2022 for the Canoe van, and the pickup is probably sometime after that. So it's fluid on this, but within the next 2 years. So we could be looking at 2022, 2023 before you actually get your hands on them. Price wise, though, that van is not bad. The base price is going to be about $35,000. So for the base level.
And on top of that, depending on what state you're at and depending on what the federal credit is, just always keep in mind, there's also that solar tax credit. So like when I bought my Tesla, I got a nice little bonus of tax credit. So 35,000, Greg, I'm guessing that's going to be pretty trimmed down. I'm guessing, I don't know if that's going to come with all the little features because how they always seem to, all of a sudden it goes up by 20,000. Oh, well, if you want that, boom, 20,000.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you want another 100 miles of battery life, then you're going to probably have to pony up.
That's probably like a $55,000 car out the door with everything that you're seeing here, I'm going to guess. Sadiq is saying luxury truck for sure. See how they're putting that, like that storage on top of that? That is a little funny looking, I got to say. Aesthetically, I'm not loving it because I feel like you could have put solar panels up there. That would, it's really cool to be able to be driving around and have the sun like recharge the things that you need in your car. Because I will tell you, in our van, we've got a microwave. We got a microwave, we got a
Wow.
freezer. It's pretty
All running off
very,
of
very
solar?
convenient. Yeah, and so yeah, and it's all being recharged from the solar on top of the van, and it's very conducive, especially since we've gone through the pandemic. It's like it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Vicky is saying that we're so funny together. Thank you so much, Vicky.
Thanks, Vicky.
We have fun together.
We do. That's why sometimes it goes off the rails.
Greg. Yeah, I like when we've known each other for a while, but I always wanted to do a show with Greg because Greg is so nice and so smart, as you can tell.
Well, same with you, Winnie. That's why we have so much fun. And thank you, Vicky, and thanks everybody tuning in too.
Thank you so much.
I did have one last one to show. And this one it's a few years out, but I feel like it may get the most interest from people, at least from the retro aspect. And it's the Volkswagen ID Buzz, which is essentially the old classic VW van coming back in an electric version. And these are the concept pictures they put out a little while ago, but they are going to be making this. I think this one's going to be so popular.
Oh, yeah. I can see every teenager wanting this. Do you remember back in the day, Greg, there was that VW, was it called a Rabbit or something like that? It was like, I remember it looked like a little shoe. Everybody wanted that car. I feel like this might be like the next it car for teenagers.
Yeah. I think not just teenagers. I mean, definitely for them, but also I think for adults with the nostalgia factor of those. My buddy John posted, because I posted about this, and he said, if there was some way to make them sound and smell like my dad's 65, I'd buy one in a heartbeat. So I think they got to get that, that old school VW vans,
that
sound
is so
to it.
Cute.
But yeah, I mean, I think these things are amazing. Like I've always loved those old VW vans anyway. They're a pain to keep up.
Comes up.
But I mean, they're just so they're so cool looking. So these ones, it's sounding more like 2024, it's going to be a few years before we actually get them. And they're going to build them so that they can be upgraded, when the technology is there to fully autonomous. So this could be something you just hop in and it takes you places. So there's that idea for it too.
Hold on, Greg, because Jack is saying, yes, I love this one too. Does it come with decals? Let me just say, like he and I both have kids. With the steering wheel coming up like that, this looks like a van you would hug. This is one that they would make a plushie after because it's just so cute. And it's coming as happy fluorescent yellow. I'd love to see the other happy fluorescent colors that sort of give you that nostalgia of, look at that. Super cute, right?
You got to get an orange. They got to make it orange.
I would totally sign up for the orange one there. That would look awesome. But it's so cute. But I'm wondering, how many does this one see, Greg?
Boy, I don't know, because it's modular on the inside of that. So you can they've showcased it with like bench seats on there. So I imagine you could kind of do it up however you wanted to do it.
All right. So just so you know, for those of you who may have a used or older car that you're not driving as much anymore, do keep in mind that used cars have increased substantially recently. So as your financial friend here, if you don't need the car, it might be a good idea to sell that car, knowing what Greg is showing you here, what's in front of us. I'm just thinking like if you have no old car and you've been like toying with the idea, sell the car and hold on,
They're doing that exact thing.
Yeah, and then check this baby out. This thing's so cute.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
City says I had passed one a couple days ago. Oh, the old one. Okay.
What are the old ones? What? Well, they are secretly testing these out. Actually, there was an article that came out about that. They've covered it up with a bunch of they painted it different and covered up the windows so it looks a little bit different, even put fake fog lights on it. This just came out a couple of days ago. So you may see one out there, and it's possible.
Camo.
Yeah, you could see one on the road as they give it all the test driving. But it's
Jack would put peace stickers on it, he says. And then Vicky's liking it. Is it gonna, because it's called something else, Vicky, because Vicky's saying this is a nice looking Beetle, but it's not a Beetle, right? It's got its own cool name to it.
ID Buzz is what they're going to be calling it. It's part of the ID line. And
Buzz like Beetle, like it pass. Very cool. So then Jack would put stickers on it. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I can see those peace stickers, Jack. I think that would be really cute. I think they should have like one that has flowers on it, especially too, like flower power. Maybe remember when they used to put that in the cup holder of the Volkswagen. There were a cup holder where you could put a flower in your car.
Oh yeah,
You remember
right.
that? That
Yeah,
was
they're gonna
kind of
need to do
clever.
that.
I wonder if they do.
Definitely
I
gonna do
mean, I just think they should put solar panels on all cars because I'm just telling you, it's a game changer.
Well, and yet there are, somebody, I think it was Sadiq brought up Fisker earlier. They've been working on that. There are some different companies out there who are getting that idea. There's one company, and I'm blanking on the name right now. Maybe it's Solar One. I could be wrong on that name. Don't quote me on that. But they're trying to build one that's just completely run on solar power. The problem is getting enough power to last a long ways just for that to be your sole source, but to have it as an add-on just to power things on the inside, and like you said, a microwave and all that other stuff, it's a great idea. I mean, clearly it works for you, and I think that's something that a lot of companies could have adding on there. But yeah, this one I think is going to be huge, but expect that in the next probably, I'm going to guess 3 to 4 years.
This one's really groovy. You're right. This one's exciting. I don't know. I feel like I need to save up for this one.
Yeah.
My son's 12. I think in 4 years, I don't know, might want one of these. They're super cute.
Well, you got that in the Cybertruck, so you'll be set.
Oh, Cybertruck's so fancy now. This was all cute though. Like right now, Jackson Lightyear 1. Yeah.
Lightyear 1. Yep, they're the ones that are doing that.
So let me ask you this, Greg. So, okay, a trip to space or one of these vehicles, which one would you pick?
Oh, I got to go to space. Only because I think that's what I would do first. And then hopefully, I'd get back and I'd do some endorsements, and then maybe I would get one. So that's my idea. That's my plan on that one.
That's your long-term plan. Okay. For those of you watching, I see Vicky, I see Jack, Sadiq, I see so many of you. Wendy, let me know which of the cars that you shared, Greg, that Greg shared today is maybe the one that let's say somehow you get this big check comes into your door. Which of these cars would be at the top of your list? I'd be really curious to see which one of these is your favorite. And then maybe you could guess which one do you think that we should get? Which one do you think Greg should get? Which one do you think I should get? Really curious, because
I actually did a poll here earlier this week. I'll pull this up just to see what, people generally thought between 4 of those. And it seems like Cybertruck was the leader. Cybertruck was at 35%, and the F-150 Lightning was shortly behind that, as far as which one people like.
You just made Elon a lot richer just by that comment alone. And that he's trying to chase against Jeff Bezos with Amazon. In case you didn't know, like, he just became more billionaire this week because of what happened with Jedi with the Pentagon. So he was
hurting so much beforehand.
Tiny house, like maybe he could have 2 tiny houses. What'd you say, Greg? I'm sorry.
I said he was hurting so bad beforehand. I just I'm glad it came up.
It's rough, What if you just share 1 billion with all of us? I mean, that would be pretty good.
That'd be nice. I'm okay
all right. So we see, Vicky is saying she wants the ID Buzz. That's definitely her favorite. Jack is saying Cybertruck, deposit already made.
Nice.
Lime green ID Buzz has my name on it too. Okay, Jack, you get the lime green. I'll get the orange. You know what? Greg will get orange too.
I'll take a yellow. That's fine.
Yellow's fine. Okay. You're so flexible that way. Jack, I feel like that should be like our show car, right? Like, we should actually put like loops on them, and Jack will have a peace sign on it. Very cool. Very cool.
Dear Volkswagen. Yeah.
I just think that Volkswagen would be so awesome. Like, if you parked it in front of your house would look cuter too, just having it in front.
That's true. Yeah. So I think it'll be huge.
I think it's going to be huge. What I'm curious to see is, what other people think, but this is pretty adorable. I could see this in like a lot of kid cartoons.
Yep. Yeah, definitely that. I mean, I just think for that, not only for kids, but just that, like I said, that nostalgia idea of getting into one of these and having them reliable, because I do have a couple of friends who have the old VW vans. They break down quite a bit and they're really expensive to fix. So this seems like it would be removing a lot of that hassle, a lot of that headache.
Yeah, that's true. Because electric vehicles, for those of you who drive one, they're actually pretty low maintenance. I mean, you don't have to do much. Even like the Tesla, you almost never have to change the brakes out because they they have these regenerative brakes. They actually, as soon as you pick up your foot, the car starts to slow down. So because you're using less electricity. Plus, I will say, like, you know, a lot of people were concerned of going from gas to electric, how that experience would be. And I would just say, like, as a pure driving experience, an electric car is so much more fun to drive than a gas vehicle. And just like, you know, wake up in the morning and your car is ready to go, a full tank of electricity, then you're save so much time. So it's pretty awesome. So I'm really excited to see more of this. Vicky is saying, Scooby-Doo next film. I love it. I love your perspective, Vicky. This is why it's not the same without you here. All right, Greg, what else we got? Because I know you got a lot of stuff for us today.
Well, I mean, as far as the electric vehicles, you know, those were the ones I wanted to cover, just showcase that. But no, there's a lot more out there. Like, you know, we were talking about the Lightyear 1 and some of the more experimental stuff that's really cool. So it's a wide world to explore. The one other thing, though, I did want to bring up is just something that people can tune into this weekend. And it has to do, going back to the space race, talking about, you know, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Richard Branson, the three billionaires in the space race for them. There is something happening on Sunday, and that is Richard Branson's going to go up in a Virgin Galactic plane and, in theory, going to go to space for a few minutes anyway. So this happened because Jeff Bezos, with Blue Origin, that's his space company, they are going to be going up in, I believe, July 20th is a scheduled date. Well, Branson found out about that and bumped up the test flight for his Virgin Galactic plane to beat him. Yep. And so that's going to be on Sunday, and they're going to be live streaming the entire thing. So this is an example of how it works. So theirs isn't a rocket. It's you go up in that kind of double fuselage plane, and that goes up to about 50,000 feet. And then from there, the actual plane, the actual space plane, Unity, that takes you to space, drops off like you're seeing in this video, drops down a ways, and then the rocket on that ship kicks in, and that takes you up into space. I mean, the video they've got here is pretty impressive as you see how it works. And then boom, that thing will take you up, and you'll go up into space for I believe it's like 5 to 6 minutes. You'll experience weightlessness. You'll technically go high enough to where you can be classified as an astronaut. It's just to that edge, and then it glides back down to Earth. The whole flight's about 2.5 hours, and he's going to be going up there on Sunday, and they're going to be live streaming the whole thing. I'm assuming they'll have all kinds of cameras on the inside, because this is geared towards tourists. It's geared towards, you can put down a deposit and go do this later on this year, or at least sign up for it. And that's what's going to be happening. I just want to make sure people know, because it's starting at 6 a.m. Sunday morning.
6 a.m.
Yeah, and 6 a.m. Pacific time, 9 a.m. Eastern.
So Greg, let me ask you this. You said it's for tourists. So how many people is Richard Branson taking with him?
So this one is going to be the 2 pilots, and then it's 4 people who are associated with Virgin Galactic, but it can fit up to 6. So 6 plus 2 pilots, so 8 people total.
They don't actually land; they just fly into space and come back. Is that the process?
Yeah, they fly. They go up into space, they fly around, experience weightlessness, and then they kind of glide back down to Earth and land that way. So it goes up, with that booster plane that takes them up to the 50,000 feet. And I think that's to save money. It's just kind of a different way to look at it, rather than taking a giant rocket up. So yeah, you're only in space for a few minutes, but still, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. That's 2 hours. That's how long it takes me to fly to where you are, and you to fly where I am. Yeah. But you could actually go to space and check out, but you don't get to come out, you don't get to experience space, but you just get to look at it from the side. So streaming that would be awesome, but sort of the golden question, some of you may be thinking about this. And so of course we have to ask this is, so what's the swag like? When you go on first class flight, Greg, you get a amenities package. It's pretty cool. Are they going to do something like that for this when you go to space? I mean, talk about how historic this is. I would think the photos and maybe some signatures from Richard Branson would be next level.
Ought to be included. Yeah, you would think, because the price is not cheap. It is $250,000 for one ticket to do this. And they're planning, it's probably going to be later this year that they take actual tourists up there. And he said he's got a list of about 600 people that have already put down deposits for it
What's the deposit like for a $250,000 ticket?
It's so expensive. I didn't even look into how much it cost for the deposit. I'm like, not going to happen. Yeah, I'm not sure. So they've got, though, I guess, a lot of people who have already put down the money. But yeah, the swag, you would think for $250,000, they've got these specific suits that were designed in conjunction with Under Armour. So they're space suits, or even though they're not going out into space, they've got some pretty snazzy jumpsuits that go along with it, with all kinds of logos on it. So you would hope you'd get to keep that.
Oh, I would think so. For that,
it'd be kind of weird if you have to turn it back in afterwards.
I know, and then you get to reuse. I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, and then, but think about how interesting that is, Greg. Imagine if that's your souvenir. Like if you get a ticket, if you get this outfit. I mean, I can only imagine what that would go on eBay later on. Would be
yeah, right. And technically, you'd be certified as being an astronaut because you had gone up that high. Like you're high enough to get that actual. Yeah, technically, you are an astronaut.
Greg would be like, I'm sitting a lot taller today because I'm an astronaut.
I'm an astronaut, actually. Oh, I would tell everybody that constantly. I would be that person. Oh, by the way, I'm an astronaut. Excuse me.
Nibler, aka astronaut.
I'd add it on to the end of my name. Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah. So next time you watch In the Loop, you'll have to watch very closely to our show because one day it'll be like at Greg Nibler, aka astronaut.
Astronaut. Yeah, that's. Oh, I want that day. I want that day to happen. So yeah, it's pretty cool though. So it'll be interesting to see how it works and just to see, what you do get for that money. What's the view really going to be like? They've got some promo videos that show it somewhat, but to see actually Richard Branson doing it, this is a huge marketing opportunity. So you can follow along with that on Sunday if people want to. He's the
ultimate influencer for his own company. Sadiq is saying low orbit space. That's right. Yep. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like what Greg would say.
Yep. Low orbit, just enough to count. Just enough to count. So that's.
So what are you going to see? I'm guessing you're going to see a lot of black and some stars. I mean, it's going to be pretty cool, right?
Yeah. Well, you'll get a really good view of the Earth and the curvature of the Earth from what they've shown so far. So it'll be a pretty phenomenal viewpoint. Definitely cool. It'll definitely be cool.
All right,
I doubt anybody's going to regret it.
We're gonna have to, we might have to get up and make sure to see that happening. And more importantly, we're gonna be excited to see when Greg adds that to his title.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. He said he put it out there in the universe.
Yeah. All right. I'm putting it out there. It's gonna happen.
Richard Branson, aka astronaut soon to be, make sure to reach out to Greg Nibler on Twitter. His direct messages are open.
Please do, Mr. Branson.
By the way, I've heard, I got a chance to hear him speak once at an event live, and he was sick as a dog, but he still put through, and he was just as gracious, as polite to everybody. So I feel like if you're going to do this trip, you got to do it with Richard. I just feel like, Greg, feel like you and him, you guys would be buddies.
I think we get along.
Buddies one day. Mm-hmm.
I'll have a glass of champagne with Richard Branson. I'm good with that. Yeah, that can happen.
And then they'll say my co-host wish she could have been here, but I had to make that sacrifice. And
I had to do it. Winnie was busy driving her Cybertruck. She just couldn't make it. But I'll.
He'll be like, what a loser. I love it. Joshua's laughing with us. Thank you, Joshua. Not the same without you. Rockman, Vicky saying Rockman. All right. I know you got more to share with us because
I've got one more here that this is just something that I just wanted to bring to light. And this is not related to travel or anything like that, but it does have to do with Nintendo. Well, I guess in a way it does. It's portable. And that's Nintendo coming out with a new Switch OLED version this week. For those who are Switch fans, which there are a lot of people.
Yeah.
Who
Okay,
are fans
Joshua, I see you. I hear you. Cross X Fighter. And I got my Switch here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, right now my kids are really into this game called Terra Tech. I don't know, Joshua, have you seen this game? It's actually a really cool game.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. I mean, it's huge for a lot of people. And it was really hard to get when the pandemic was starting, especially really hard to get a hold of one of these, one of the original ones. But now you've got this version. So the OLED version, first off, I guess that screen is really the big upgrade on here. And if you have an OLED television, you know the difference of what you get with that, in that it is really, really, the color is going to be great. The contrast is going to be great. It's going to look better and brighter than the previous version. It's also going to be a little bit bigger. It's 7 inches instead of 6.2 inches.
Wow.
And past that, some of the improvements they mentioned are the audio. You're also going to have this stand that's kind of on the back, which is a kind of a nice little feature that'll go along with it. So where you can set it up and put it, if you're tabletop gaming or something like that, you'll have that kind of built into it. It's going to have
this model as being a Switch player. I just gotta say that. Okay, go ahead.
What's that? You don't see it as what?
The model playing the Switch by the beach. I just don't really see that happening, but that's okay. I like
this scene right here. Just to call this out, this guy in the hallway was a big point of controversy online because everyone was like, "Why would he stop and just play in his hallway? He's at home." This right?
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. His couch is like 10 feet away. Why would he just sit there? There's some really funny Twitter comments about that. But yeah, so you've got. That side of it, different color, black and white. So you got that's the new color for it. And it's also, there's the adjustable stand I was talking about.
How much
it's got this one. So this is going to come out to be $350 is what it's going to cost. So it's about $50 more than the regular Switch. I can't remember how much the Switch Lite is, but this is going to be, $350, and it'll be coming out on October 8th. Let me make sure I have that date. I believe it's October 8th, the same day that the new Metroid game comes out. So I imagine that's going to be kind of tied into a lot of what they're going to be marketing this for, is to play that with it. But yeah, this is the new Switch. And I know some people, and I know it's just somebody just commented on this, it's not a Switch Pro, which a lot of people were wanting a Switch Pro, like an upgraded full gaming experience, new hardware, and that's not what they did with this. So we'll probably have to wait till the Switch 2, whenever that does come out, to get something like that. But this is at least an upgrade as far as the video, and yeah, you can plug in directly with an Ethernet cable with that backup. So yeah, it's definitely pretty interesting.
This is like a Switch Plus. I would call it Switch Plus, because as you're looking at it looks like a better screen. It sounds like, a little bit better sound, and it's got a little cute stand.
Better sound.
Yep. And then
better onboard speakers.
I think that it's not Pro, but maybe like a Plus, because I do think, like, I don't know about you, but I think most people that you're using this thing, I will say, it's my kids are using it. I don't think they would really notice. I mean, I don't have an OLED ED TV at home yet, so maybe that's why, but I don't think my kids would notice it enough for that extra $50. Jack, on the other hand, would. Now, Jack says that his wife stole his Switch for her Animal Crossing. So yeah, Jack, I think you deserve your own. I think you should get this. I'll call it the Switch Plus, because I think Jack would definitely recognize the better screen and the audio and whatnot. It is really cool. It's really cool. I mean, Animal Crossing is cool. I didn't know you played that. That's pretty cool. And Vicky wants to know, what about the new Xbox?
As far as the newest one that just came out. Yeah, I mean, that's out now. And so you got that versus the PS5. And that's certainly a big debate between those two. I think really a lot of it, as far as the features, I think it just comes down to whether you like Xbox games or PS or PlayStation games, or gaming on each one of those. Because I've always been PlayStation. Nothing against Xbox, I would play with that too, but I'm a PlayStation person. So some of those exclusive games, that's really where a lot of the differences, I think, are going to come down to that. Is if you want the exclusive games that PlayStation has, or exclusive ones that Microsoft has. So that's kind of where or just get both, But I think that's where a lot of decision making is going to have to come down on that.
One of each. Well, yeah. Greg, what do you play on your PlayStation? What's your favorite game?
Right now, so when I get time to play, I've been playing still Cyberpunk. So I've been I take a long time to finish a game. It takes me quite a while. So I dip into it for a while, and then I'll have other stuff going on and then go back in. So I'm still playing Cyberpunk, but I want to get to Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I love the Assassin's Creed games. I like the ones where, I don't play a lot of online games with other people because I'm not that good. So this way I can just kind of play on my own and go at my own pace. But yeah, I'll play any of those games. As soon as I'll play pretty much anything if it's in front of me. But I would say, yeah, Cyberpunk's what I'm on right now.
That sounds really fun. Yeah. I mean, Vicky is saying, thank you so much, Greg. Yes, absolutely. This is what Greg is here for. And Sadiq is saying that they're integrated Xbox to win. CrossX Fighter is saying, I'm glad that you're interested. Yes, I am very interested. And believe it or not, and I want to say this, and I know Jack is talking about Animal Crossing. I did play a little bit of Animal Crossing. As you know, I don't have a lot of time to play this, but my kids do. One game that we play as a family, and also I would recommend not only for families, but just friends in general, one of my most favorite favorite games to play that we've played as a team with other teams is Overcooked. And if you haven't played this game, it's not a new game. It's not even like, one of the coolest games. But this is like for someone like myself who is like an efficiency queen, right? A planning person. Oh my goodness, this is like totally in my DNA. I am like Overcooked queen. So it's like this game is super cute. If you haven't seen it before, Curtis might even be showing this to you soon. But basically, it's where a team comes together and you have to cook things together. All right, it's super fun. And there's like toast military people, and then there's like these really awesome meatball people. But basically, see. So you can play 4-on-4 and you're making cakes and pancakes and like spaghetti and seafood dishes. And yeah. Okay. Jack is saying, yes, Overcooked is a shouting match in my house. So Jack, I feel like we need to play this. We need to play this together one of these days. But yeah, it's really fun. And it really gets you. Yeah. This is why I told you, Greg, before we got on the show here, I said, it shows your true colors. If you're like, like a calm person, you'll probably be chill still, but if you're like one of those hidden crazy people, it will come out. And it's very interesting.
I'd probably fall on the hidden crazy side of things. With competitive games, I get a little bit competitive sometimes, so that I would definitely try this out. I would want to play this.
You need to try this out. Like Jack is saying, I need plates. I know, Jack, where have you been? Like, we just love having you. And Robin's saying, love it. Robin, we need to play this. If we can ever travel again, I'm going to borrow the kids' Switch and we're going to play this. It's really cool. Vicky says that is a cool game. It actually is a really, really cool game. I'm not going to lie. And it's not even that expensive. But right now, I'm hoping Greg is somewhat interested because Greg is sort of like, he's where I get all my cool stuff. But this is actually pretty cool. Yeah, this is Overcooked too, but there's actually one, Curtis. There's actually the new version. I don't have this yet, but I think it's like Overcooked, the third version. Jack might already have it, but it's really cool. The third version allows you to play remotely with other people. So Jack, we might have to get this so our families can play together. That'd be really cool.
Nice.
I know. Greg will have to. What is it? Just say.
Well, Overcooked. So definitely something I should probably try out. I think I need to get a Nintendo Switch, so maybe I'll try out the OLED one when it does come out, and then I can get into the Overcooked action.
I know, that would be really cool. This is so fun. That was amazing. I'm so glad you told me that. It wasn't even my radar. I guess good reason, but I can see timing is good, right? October, perfect for
October. October 8th, I believe, is the release date, but October is when it's going to be coming out. I think you can put down a deposit pretty soon. You can pre-order that as well. And the only other thing I was going to say is that while we've been broadcasting too, there's a lot more video game news coming out, and I'll have to follow up with it after this. But PlayStation has a State of Play event that's been going on, so I'm sure that PlayStation just announced some stuff too, probably about games specifically, but there's, I'm sure, a lot of more gaming news coming out today.
Very coal. Thank you so much, Greg.
Yeah,
really exciting.
Yeah, lots to talk about, and that's why we always go on this show and we just find so many fun things to talk about, and that's why I appreciate everybody who's joining in too. It's always so great to hear everyone's opinions on all of this stuff, and you can always message me to Vicky, if you have any more questions, I can give you a more robust answer on some of that too, or whatever else people want to know about, or point you in the right direction, because we just love talking to everybody and, having fun and helping people learn about all of this stuff. And it's just such a good time. So appreciate everybody tuning in.
Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your comments. And of course, thank you so much for being here for us. The show's going to come back next Thursday. So we have another really special show planned for you, and it won't be the same without. So do us a favor. If you've enjoyed today's programming, this is only one of our first handful of shows. We would love for you to let your friends and family and loved ones know about In the Loop so that they can also stay in the loop. And as Greg mentioned, both of our direct messages are always open. We're really active on Twitter. Go ahead and send us a message on anything of interest to you or things that you would like to learn more about. And I'm sure Greg and I can do some digging and make sure that we keep you up to speed. So, you know about your money, and you know about all things cool and tech coming. And I know we're going to do some fun stuff coming up. Just as a teaser, we're also going to do something very special coming up for July, which is National Hot Dog Month. And so that's good. We have a very special show scheduled. I think that's going to be on the 22nd. So definitely want to tune in there. We have a very special guest coming on as well, a good friend of ours. And I don't know, Greg, what else we got?
I mean, I think you've covered it. It's just exciting to all of this. And one other thing I wanted to mention too is if you have something that you think, we should be aware of as far as like if you find a cool gadget or anything tech related, please send it my way. I always want to learn more, and there's no way I can know everything that's going on. It's impossible to keep up with everything. So please, by all means, let us know what you're seeing out there that's cool, or advice or questions, or anything that you've got. Please send them our way, because we love doing this. And like when he said, subscribe and share and let other people know about it. That's always a great thing, for us to help us out. But we just want to be here for you every week and have fun like this.
Yep. And with that, we just hope you have an incredible weekend. You stay safe, and we will be back next Thursday, Greg and I, and who knows what else we'll have dig up for you. It'll be very, very special for sure. Though this is a treat. This is like something that we look forward to every week.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye.